For this project, I won't be challenging media stereotypes per se, but people that are generally disliked or misunderstood for either their negative enactments that affect the people around them, the people that they bring these actions upon, or for whatever they do that results to prevalent dislike or misconception made by the people around them. I do not by any means support the negative actions they yield, but I do think that we should scrutinize the reason why they purposely do the things they do, which is a negative effect on people. I think this is important for teenagers to understand because we are next in line to maintain our world. By reconsidering the people I'm talking about, we may be able to help them and end their negative actions and effect. So by the time we're adults, they may not be an issue anymore for the people they affect, or have their own issues. I'll also be using videos found online, which I think emphasizes the reason for enactment. At least 1 in 3 adolescent students in Canada have been reported being bullied recently. It's been specified many times before why bullies bully. Some reasons pertain to personal issues, such as the bully feels like he or she isn't receiving enough attention from friends, parents, or teachers. So the bully starts bullying to be newly perceived as someone who's tough or cool. A bully may have been led into bullying after witnessing a family member or friend pursuing to bully someone, but in a way that altered his or her perception of a bully as a method to carry out in order to get your way. A bully may also not have any social skills, so when a personal problem occurs regarding other kids, they'll use physical or verbal violence in an attempt to solve the issue. A bully may have also been a former victim of a bully, even though most of us know the common reasons why bully starts to bully in the first place. Bullying still happens around us today, but we can still try and prevent bullying. There are many ways parents can prevent bullying. One way is to educate their children. This is when a parent should teach their children the basics of the different kinds of bullying, telling their children that they restrict it in their house, and teaching their children how to treat others. Another way is to create a culture of accountability in their house. This means that parents should take responsibility of their children and how they communicate to their parents and siblings, and how they treat family members, and teaching their children that they are accountable for their own actions should also be considered, as well as teaching their children how to solve social issues and deal with their emotions. This is when a parent should teach their children how to compromise, how to share, how to sacrifice, how to deal with acts of unfairness, how to identify another person's feelings, and how to deal with their impulses. And also, another way is to punish his or her child for bullying. If a parent discovers that their child has been bullying someone, they should punish their child by depriving something they like, and make them do a chore or task, and ask them what they will do next time when they are in the same situation, and ensure that their child makes amends. How youth can prevent bullying. If a kid or teen is being bullied, they should report it to a school administrator or trusted adult. Ignore any cyberbullying via any social media website messages. Confront the bully and demand them to stop, and address them that you don't agree with the way that they treat you. But if the situation suddenly becomes dangerous, it would then be best to walk away, nor should you threaten the bully with physical violence or attempt to provoke the bully verbally. This will probably result to the bully responding with increased bullying, and you're risking being held just as accountable if you're caught by a teacher, parent, or etc. If you are currently bullying someone, or if you know one, try to have a school counselor speak with them to make the bully contemplate why they are bullying, i.e., For example, is it because it relieves anger or stress, or is it because this is one of the first times in your life you felt like you have power or control? Maybe there are other people in your life who have an uncomfortable amount of power or control over you. Asking a counselor to consult with the bully doesn't mean to punish the bully, but to find out what's causing the bully to bully, and try to put it to an end or find a healthier alternative to relieve feelings such as anger or stress. Shoplifters. Reason for enactment. There are two types of shoplifters, professional and non-professional. Professional shoplifters adopt shoplifting as a way to resell stolen goods or items in exchange for profit to support their lives. Non-professionals make up the majority of shoplifters, and shoplift for many reasons. Most non-professional shoplifters perceive stealing as a way to reward themselves, which in result induces a satisfying lift, also known as an adrenaline rush. Many shoplifters will think that the lift is required to perceive through a weaker day. There was a study done by MasterCard International which revealed that shoplifting was second to dining as the main way people reward themselves. Some shoplifters may have other reasons for stealing that have nothing to do with acquiring something for free, including to substitute for a loss, for example, divorce, loss of a job or investment income, or an unexpected expense which can result to people feeling needy. A way to pay yourself back for everything you provide to others and how little you receive in return, to relieve anxiety, depression, or boredom. And several studies show that 1/3 of the shoplifters studied were previously diagnosed with depression, making it the most common psychological problem in those particular studies. Teenagers are similar to adults when it comes to shoplifting, but for teens, the reason why they would shoplift are usually related to family, school, but the most common reasons are linked to peer pressure, curious to see if they would be caught, or to relieve their anger, depression, confusion, or boredom. How to prevent shoplifting addiction. Shoplifting is an insufficient way to relieve stress, depression, anxiety, anger, and etc. It has the potential to usher people into an unhealthy, illegal, and addictive lifestyle, which may result to conviction or kleptomania. Kleptomania is a serious mental health disorder when a person has an irresistible temptation to steal something that is usually useless and worthless to them when regarding how much they value this certain item, but they still have an impulse to steal nevertheless. If a person thinks that he or she has an addiction, they should then refer to a psychologist or a psychiatrist for help. If you're being peer pressured by your friend to shoplift, state your honest opinion if you don't think it's sensible, but don't depress your friend or make them feel guilty in the process. If your friend is constantly shoplifting and you're too uncomfortable to let him or her know you're concerned, ensure to avoid shopping with them, but also address the problem to a counselor or a trusted adult. If you're ever compelled by an impulse to shoplift, consider the consequences and the respect you would lose from your family and friends. There are better alternatives to spend your time or relieve stress, depression, or boredom. Instead, find a new hobby, team, sport, or group to pursue. Drug users. Reason for enactment. People initially experiment with drugs for many reasons, including a diagnosed or undiagnosed mental illness. This is when a user will use illegal substances instead of prescribed medication to administer their illness. Users will favor drug use opposed to medicine use at first, mainly because drugs are quicker when regarding the time it takes to commence an effect inside the user opposed to medicine, and also because medicine can be expensive. Family arguments and parents not carrying out their duties is another reason for people to start using drugs. This is when a couple starts fighting or arguing and usually someone in the couple will be suffering from emotional pain and will aspire to remove his or her pain. This leaves that person with an opportunity to try drugs to remove his or her pain, since drugs have a common misconception that they can increase your happiness. A son or daughter of a parent could also not be receiving the attention, love, and nurturing that they need. So they'll use drugs to replace the absent of the pleasures of parental care. Loneliness is also another reason why people start using drugs. Because loneliness creates an encumbering void of distress that an individual is necessitated to fill somehow. Some people don't know healthy ways to fill this void, so some turn to drugs in order to do so. This is similar to some people who suffer from anxiety, depression, stress, and other life problems that they don't know how to treat, so they turn to drugs. And people that are anguished by mental, verbal, or physical abuse may also start to use drugs to abolish the pain. Some people may decide to use drugs at social gatherings after being exposed to drug use by the people around them. Anyone not participating in indulging in drug use may feel more pressure to start doing so to try and fit in, because they will think that drugs will make it more conspicuous that they're just like everyone else. How to prevent drug use. Drugs don't solve personal problems nor reduce the stress, anxiety, depression caused by them. Drugs don't treat symptoms of mental illnesses, and drugs don't make you more socially accepted. Drugs can damage lives because of their addicting chemicals. That's why it's important to prevent ourselves from ever using them. Now, don't quote me on these prevention methods, because these are methods I thought will work well in each situation I used as an example. If you're in a situation where you feel like trying a certain drug, think of the consequences if you're caught. Try to evisage the police descrying, which also means seeing, you using drugs, and then calling your parents afterwards. Think of how your parents will react to a police officer recounting, which also means telling, them they found their son or daughter using drugs. If you want to try drugs to relieve any anxiety, depression, or stress, keep in mind that there are many other alternatives to relieve those burdening feelings. For example, hanging out with friends or watching a movie. When a friend or a group of friends is trying to convince you into using drugs with them, but you don't want to, just enunciate that, which means speak clearly. If they ask you why, tell them your initial reason of why you're against recreational drug use. For example, I'm not comfortable with breaking the law. If they then start ridiculing you in addition to offensive remarks, well, this indicates that these friends aren't trustworthy or appreciative. Appreciative friends respect their friends' opinions and don't try to compel them to do something that they aren't comfortable with. Because of this, start to proceed home. Analyzing the examples. After watching the bully, shoplifting, and drug PSA, I have identified problems that relate to all three of these different people. They are commonly labeled by their stereotypes, or by concise and oversimplified descriptions that don't fully identify the reason for their actions, that some people theorize in their head to explain a reason for their actions. Obviously, not everyone does this, since there are some people that know the reason for their actions, but there are some people who don't, and will most likely listen to the stereotypes at first and believe them. I think we should make the real reason for their actions more publicly known by raising awareness with advertisements, which counteracts the stereotype. These are the following messages I thought of that counteract their stereotypes. Common bully stereotype. Bullies are cruel kids that pick on others in order to feel like they have power or control. Truth. I bully other kids to relieve myself after being bullied by my anxiety and stress. Common shoplifter stereotype. Shoplifters are thieves and criminals. Truth. I shoplift to relieve myself after my depression and anger steal from me. Drug user stereotype. People use drugs because they have nothing else better to do. Truth. I used drugs because I thought it would help me escape my personal problems. I know I was wrong, but now I'm addicted. The degree of effect correlates with how well messages are advertised. If these messages were exposed to the public as a billboard advertisement, I think the messages would have the ability to create minor effect, changing some people's perspective on bullies, shoplifters, or drug users. It may even cause a parent of a bully to reconsider punishment after finding out that their son or daughter was bullying someone. So instead of being punished, the bully would instead have a session with a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I think this type of advertisement challenges mainstream people to look at things differently and disregard any generic information such as stereotypes, which first come to mind when trying to explain someone's actions, but instead finding out the real truth for someone's actions, and instead of assuming it. By doing this, you may discover that some people have other unknown reasons for some things they do.